my pleasure to welcome panel 3, Bridging the Skills Gap. So hopefully you're going to be able to take away some tangible top tips to help you guys succeed in the future. And of course, we've got our employers here. So without further ado, I'll hand over to Professor Rosa, and can we give the panel a massive round of applause?
Thank you, Santina. Thank you very much. And some brilliant panels today. So I'm really pleased to be chairing this one. So we are looking at bridging the skills gap, how we build a future-ready workforce. We know there is so much going on in construction and so many things changing. So it'll be really interesting to see how we make sure everyone's ready for those new technologies, the green skills that we need and everything else that's going on. So shall we start by giving everyone a bit of a chance to introduce themselves before we go into questions? So should we go down the panel? So Andy, do you want to start?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Andy Williams, Director of Economy and Skills for Birmingham City Council.
Afternoon all, I'm Renee Preston, CEO of Galloway Construction, founder of Construction for Women, and recently launched the National Site Standard.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Charlene Wall. I'm the CEO of Wood Manor Properties. I'm also a national board member for GSAP West Midlands. Oh, GSAP, yeah, GSAP West Midlands, and also the national GSAP. So we look to encourage young people into green skills, work with employers. And if for the students that may not understand that, we build houses, we do your kitchens, your bathrooms, your floors. So we work with a lot of tradesmen across this sector. And yeah, that's it. There you go.
Hi everyone, I'm Fiona Aldridge. I'm Chief Executive of an organisation called Skills Federation. I'm one of the few people on panels that don't work in the construction sector, but actually I work really closely with government to try and understand what sort of skills and jobs there might be in a whole range of different sectors across the economy in the future, how those will change and how we get the right training and skills in order to make sure that you can get great jobs in those sectors.
Hi everyone, I'm Mark Harrison. I'm the Head of Equality, Diversity and Inclusion for the Chartered Institute of Building. We are the main professional member institute for people in roles such as site managers, project managers, etc. We've got 52,000 members globally. I also was a founding member of the Be Inclusive partnership of other professional membership institutes, currently 9, working to promote a more welcoming, inclusive and representative sector. Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to start by just thinking about some of those young people in the room. I know Santina sort of asked at the beginning what schools you're from. So some of you might be thinking construction's definitely the thing for me and I definitely want to get into the construction sector. Some of you might be thinking, no way, not a chance, not for me. So the first question I have for the panel is, for the young people in the room who may have never considered construction as a career, what would you say to them to change their mind? Does anyone want to go first? Mark's going first.
Yeah, I would say the construction or the built environment sector is a fantastic sector to work in, a huge diversity of roles all around the globe. It's developing fast, new technology. The number of different roles you can encounter in the sector is it kind of blows my mind sometimes. Some of our members do work that you'd never have dreamt of 10 years ago. The roles didn't exist. So I'd say there's fantastic opportunities. It's actually quite well paid as well once you get in there. So lots of positives. There are issues with the sector, and that's what we're here to talk about today. But I would absolutely encourage you all to think about a career in construction. Get involved, and let's change the sector together.
Great, thank you. So a few things. Firstly, you might have an idea of what working in this sector looks like, but there are jobs for absolutely everybody and it urgently needs new talent. So we've done some work to think about how many new jobs and there are loads of new jobs. There's lots of concerns about kind of youth unemployment. Can I get a job? This is definitely a sector with jobs. It is a job that, like everybody else's, will be affected by AI and technology. It will change, but there are so many jobs in this sector that won't be replaced. So these are jobs for the long term. And as Mark has just said, it can be a really high paid sector. This is the second highest paid sector next to finance that you can get in the economy. So some great opportunities, some long-term opportunities.
I would say that I think a lot of people think that working in construction just means that you're going to get your hands dirty, that you need a hard hat and a helmet. It's really different. So most of my team, most of the workers for me, they get all of their job specification on their mobile phones, which is quite handy. They use a lot of apps. So if you ever did any Minecraft, or if you ever like Lego, or if you just like technology, you like drones and everything like that. We're using drones to survey roofs and find problems. We're using digital technology like robots to test the soil for if it's contaminated. So there's so much technology. If you're into the future and you maybe got an Xbox or anything like that, and if you're a girl also you're a problem solver and you're good at solving your girl group at the moment, there's a lot of strategy, problem solving that's involved. And the environment is everything you see around you. So you could be designing, I don't know, Alton Towers, or you could be involved in HS2, which is the train line. You could be involved in a new swimming pool, or just a really cool house with, really good digital technology.
You kind of all covered a lot of that there. And what I would say, and there's obviously... I'm just looking at the students in the back of the room there. Last year we had 800 young ladies on a taster day in construction, of which most of them had never considered construction before. And I'm sure before today, quite a lot of you hadn't really considered that. And all the conversations you're hearing today, hopefully you'll get some good takeaways. But it's quite daunting, actually, when you start to look at 90 young ladies looking back at you on a day like that, and they're all on their mobile phones. And I always ask that question, would you like a career in construction? And most of them either don't look up from the phone, or if they do, it's kind of a bit of a shake of the head. At the end of that day, at the end of a taster day, more than half are really excited about a career in construction. Working with, they had sessions on carpentry, on bricklaying, on interior design, on plasterwork. We throw the drones up as well. We do site mapping and planning. There's an awful lot that we try and show the diversity of roles in construction, of which there's 156. So I will sort of invite you all today to sort of have a little think about that. I mean, think of the subjects that you really enjoy. We talked about it in the last session about putting it into chat, and, whatever your subjects are that you really enjoy, put it into chat and say, what kind of role can I get in construction with these these subjects that I like to do? And then ask how much you learn, because one of the favourite things I like to do when we're doing a taste today is to explain how much money you would earn, and also then try and think about, if I earn that much money, when can I leave home? When can what can I do? What can I do with that money? How can I utilise that money to enjoy my life the best I can? Because it's not about just getting a job and sort of like or all the fun's sucked out of life. It's about what kind of job I can do that I can enjoy and that I can earn some great money. Just to give you an example, bricklayers at the moment in Bath are earning £100,000 a year. So maybe that'll give you a bit of food for the thought.
It's given me food for thought. But, be honest with you. Don't worry, I'm in front of the queue. Most of it's been said. I mean, I never. What do I think? I would challenge you all, particularly those of you on the back row, to go to all the stalls today and say, I really like cooking, or I really like working with people, or I really like doing something physical, and ask them to tell you what jobs are available for that. Ask them how much you get paid. Ask them what the route in is. Do I need to do a whole bunch more study, which you may or may not want to do? Can I go straight into work? So reverse the question, take your passion, go and talk to these people that are here today. I do think what's been said by yourself and by someone in the previous panel, I think use AI to kind of figure some of that stuff out. Or I'd use AI as a starting point. Be curious, which I think is a good message for the day.
Thanks, Andy. Some of it's about attracting more people into the sector, but as colleges across the region, we're finding that the demand for our construction courses it outstrips what we can actually offer. So we're having to turn some young people away. So I guess then, but at the same time, the sector saying there are skill shortages and they can't get the people that they need. So let's have a look at the industry. So in terms of that skill shortage, and obviously there's things that we can all do with that, but if we just look at the industry for now, what do we think is industry maybe getting wrong about how to connect with those young people and solve the skills gap? Yes, Renee.
Very passionate about this, and you can tell I was. So most industries are very acceptant of 16-year-olds leaving school, and in construction, we complain about skills shortage, we complain about attraction piece, and yet we have a lockdown policy in terms of you can only really work on a tier 1 site if you're 18 years of age, and I'm neurodiverse. I'm ADHD. I've got dyslexia. I went to university, but I went to university when I was older. At 16, I did not want to carry on studying. I wanted to learn, and I wanted to go out and work. And I think we don't have those options at the moment. I don't think there's enough for a 16-year-old to go out there and learn at grassroots and learn on the job and just, from the people that have been there for previously. There's too much classroom environment. That's what I think.
Anyone else think there's some? Okay, Andy, you go.
So the question's interesting, isn't it? What's the industry getting wrong? And I think the industry needs to break itself open a bit and be a bit more porous and lean on others inside the system. What do I mean by that? I mean, it's very hard call to SMEs to often with small groups of people to bring young people in. They have a desire, but it's too much effort, it's too much cost, it's too much investment that I don't have. So how do they lean on organisations like yourselves in the colleges? How do they lean on the universities? How do they lean on the community and voluntary sector to actually de-risk some of that for them? And whilst there is a competitive environment, this is about systems change as a whole, isn't it? So how do we enable those SMEs to lean in more to what's existing and to shape it? And I'm a very firm believer in employer-led programmes and education and systems and the reform that's needed in that.
That is a YTS scheme though. That at the moment the apprenticeship schemes are all down to the SMEs. It's all down to us to bring in apprentices and train apprentices, whereas previously it was down to the government to pay for that. And I think there needs to be a flip. That's the problem. The problem is you're putting too much on the small SME. I'm a small SME, and I'm avid supporter of. We have graduates, we have apprentices, we have a KPI of 3 T-level students on every single one of my sites at any one time. I go above and beyond, but it costs me so much money, and we're being squeezed all the time on tenders and low margins going in at 5%. I can't afford to bring and skill the future of our industry. It needs to be down to the government.
On a positive note, no, it's because you're passionate and it's true. So yeah, years ago I was just saying in our breakfast meeting, in the 90s, you either went on to, if you wanted to, I don't know, be a dentist, you went on to college and then you went to uni. But if you wanted to work straight away and get the experience, there was so much apprenticeships going, but they were partially funded. So if there is a skills shortage now, I think there's no careers fair. So today is an example of how we can start attracting young people into the industry, because we've got over 200 students here in the university. This is an environment. Then there's panels when they can speak to us and see what it's all about. So I think it's events. I think it's content. I think we need to get on TikTok because that's where most of, that's a lot of things. It's all about the content sharing, but we also need to show the life cycle journey. So I've always been into geography, history, because that's all my grandparents talked about. So it's all about that that we're not doing that life cycle journey anymore. So we're not showing people where we were then, like how houses were made when they were what they call the back-to-back terrace houses, to where they are now with solar panels and speakers going through every room and plugging in your cars and everything like that outside. So I think it's that. I think that's where I think it's more the attraction and making it through better platforms so everybody can see it, and then everybody will want to get involved.
Thank you. You're a smiling razor because I think I'm going to be the token government representative here, aren't I? So a couple of things. So lots of young people do construction courses. About a third of them end up in the construction sector. Now, to some extent, that's great because if you do a construction course, you can go and do so many other things, not just construction. But actually, if we're going to tackle the construction skills challenge, we've got to make sure that more of the young people, more of the adults on those courses get into those jobs. That's partly about employers stepping forward and recruitment. It's partly about making sure those courses give proper opportunities to kind of really see what working in construction looks like. So we've got to get better at that gap. Absolutely, we need to do more about apprenticeships. About 10% of entrants into construction come through apprenticeships. One of the things the government is doing at the minute is thinking about how it pivots apprenticeships much more to be about opportunities for young people. So I think there's a kind of space to watch there about what might be done, and that's partly about attracting young people, but absolutely making sure that SMEs have a bit more capacity and don't have to kind of take the risk all the time on their own about making those opportunities happen.
I think a lot's been said already that I was going to say, but I have to say, when we talk about the industry, it's interesting, isn't it? Who do we mean exactly? And Renee's comment about SMEs, we know the built environment is over 90% SMEs. We can't expect them to bear the burden of this challenge with tight profit margins and so on. So we do need an industry-wide approach, and we're committed to that. CIB, I think professional member institutes have a role to play. We're currently working on mentorship and work placements initiative that we're going to launch in the next 12 months with the other professional member institutes, still working on that. But I think, yeah, it does need a cross-sector approach and some, sorry to say it, but some government encouragement.
Yeah, and I guess it's keeping up with that. So Fiona talked a bit about that change in perspective around apprenticeships, and there's an understanding that at the moment or in the recent past that they have been, there's more older apprentices and fewer in that sort of coming straight out of school. So there are some changes afoot coming with apprenticeships, but appreciate that can be complicated and employers are trying to keep up with changes. So we were going to talk a bit about apprenticeships, but we've already touched on them a little. Is there anything anyone else wants to add in terms of making sure those apprenticeship routes are working well enough? The question here is about making them more attractive to school leavers, but actually I think they're pretty much in demand. When an apprenticeship goes out there, there's huge demand to join one. So I think schools have done quite a good job of really making sure apprenticeships are considered as a viable alternative, something else you could do that is a really good option after school. I guess it's harder necessarily to find the right ones. Would anyone want to add anything else on apprenticeships before we move on? I think we've probably touched on that enough. Okay, so we've talked about sort of the skills gap and attracting people in. We still struggle in construction with diversity. So what have people seen that has genuinely made a difference, genuinely moved the needle? And what has just been window dressing? Just to challenge you. So does anyone want to pick that one up? Do you want to go first, Mark?
You'll probably have to take the mic out of my hand, sorry. So what works? That's the question, isn't it? So I think in my experience, I've been doing EDI, I've been a lead EDI person addressing challenges of underrepresentation and a lack of diversity in charity, higher education, and now the construction sector. My experience tells me that what we need is actual changes to policies and practices and systems. So looking at things like the work I'm currently doing with the Be Inclusive Partnership, we're looking at how we support young people coming into the industry, as I've just mentioned. We're looking at how we can support returners to the industry. It's one thing bringing in young early career people, but we need to retain people in the industry as well, and that is a challenge, particularly women. So we're looking at how we can support women across the board coming back into the industry. We're also looking at how we change the working culture of the sector. I think that's very, very important because that leads to the perception. We know the perception of the sector isn't always entirely positive, and that needs to change if we're to convince the young people in the room and their parents as well that it is a worthwhile industry to work in. So we're working on how we change workplace culture by using our codes of conduct and encouraging people to be respectful and inclusive, and also how we have possibly a campaign on addressing problematic behaviour. It's not, I mean, I should say that's not limited to, that's prevalent in all employment sectors. It's not just the built environment, but if we are to change the perception, that's something we need to look at. So I would focus on that, changing policy and practice. We also need, of course, role models at the top, and we've got some fantastic role models here today. But that we need to have more role models in the industry. So I would focus on that rather than things that we've seen in the past, like unconscious bias training, focusing on trying to change individual behaviour. That's less effective and more expensive. So I would say let's change policy and practice. And Renee has got a fantastic example to talk about later. Not that I'm putting you on the spot or anything, but...
Who wants to go next? Charlene, you want to pass over to
I'm going to pass over to Renee because of what you're...
Yeah, thanks, Mark. So I recently launched the National Site Standard. So in construction, we have lots of audited accreditations such as Construction Line and CHAS and ISOs, which is all about our process and how we best practice on site with the process. But we weren't focusing on personnel, we weren't focusing on the people that actually deliver those projects for us. So the National Site Standard is to ensure that we do focus on our personnel, focus on the behaviours on site, make it an inclusive environment, have a gender balanced work environment to increase productivity and to increase mental health on site, and to focus down on welfare of the individuals and have an accountability from our leadership teams as well. So that's what the National Site Standard is for, and it's to market us as well. It's to show what best practice looks like on our building sites and to be proud of them, and to signpost people to those sites that have the National Site Standard accreditation. And then the likes of yourselves that are now looking at the industry will know that that is a site that is considering their personnel at first and foremost. So that's the improvements that we're making at the moment, and we're launching into the built environment in the next month or two. Thank you.
Anyone else want to pick up on diversity?
I think we're diverse here straight away. So there's diversity on this panel right now, and I suppose maybe many years ago there wouldn't have been two construction contractors CEO that are female. But you can't be what you can't see, and it needs to be from grassroots all the way up. So I've noticed recently it is more leaning towards a celebration of when good happens in the industry. There's a lot of events that happen at the NEC. I went to one and I said if I was ever working on a building site, I couldn't wear those trousers. I need 2% of elastane. So I spoke to Regatta and I said you need to put 2% of elastane in those trousers, because if I was a plumber, it's little things like that need to be pointed out that will diversify the industry. I do not wear a yellow high vis. I wear a pink one because I prefer to wear a pink one when I go on a building site. But I'd probably, in certain instances, be laughed at. In certain instances. So when I've been into building merchants and I was ordering a hell of a lot of stock for the sites that I was on, I was told, they didn't realise that it would be my company. So it's the perception still from everybody nationally to really promote that there are young people, there's office environments, there are women. You can be a tradie and be a plumber in groundwork and be a female, or that's where the problem lies, that our mindset still thinks that Bob the Builder is Bob the Builder, is actually as you see him. And that's where we need to move on. We've come a long way since then.
Okay. Sorry. Right, thank you. So work to do, but a lot of really passionate people in the sector and a lot of people that want to make a change. And in the city, I know as well, people really want to make a difference. And there are so many different things you can do in construction. And I guess that's what we've talked about earlier, is find out what all those things are. It's not always about what's on site, as I think Shine said earlier. Some of it's on site, some of it is working in design offices, some of it's working on project management. So there's so many different things you can do. And today is a brilliant opportunity to find out more about all of those different options. So if you're all thinking about working in construction and what you might do, I'm wondering if the panel have got any advice on what students can do at school that can help prepare them. Are there certain subjects they should pick? Is it more about experiences that they can get? And how do they get access to those sorts of experiences that might help prepare them? So any advice of things that people can do at school to get them ready for construction? Any suggestions? You go, Andy.
I mean, I'm not technically in construction, so I'll talk more about it from an employer's point of view. And I guess it's less about the specific subjects and more about character, behaviour, those wider skills that you can learn in schools, getting involved in other teams, getting involved in extracurricular activity, getting involved in your local community, so that when you're standing in front of employers, you are a more rounded individual. Of course, maths and English and those things are helpful inside, but they're not the be-all and end-all. So it's not just about an academic route, I guess. It's about how do you develop, how do you, even getting involved in lunch clubs, getting involved in sporting clubs, developing your teamwork skills, your leadership skills, your creativity skills, and being able to talk to some of the people that are on this panel today working in the private sector to be able to show that. Because what I want is people that are willing to learn, willing to put hard graft in, and that I can rely on and can call on to do different aspects of the role and work.
What I would say is start building up your resilience. So get used to getting things wrong. That's all part of the journey. So during your school life, you would possibly been in a boy gang, a girl gang. You've been in a sports club. You thought you were going to be captain. You weren't. Get used to that, because that's what we need. We need people who are resilient. And I definitely agree with what you said. It's the extra curriculum stuff. So if I was employing somebody tomorrow and they said, I was on my netball team and I did that and I helped the school with a project, it would be that person all day long. But also, if you didn't realise, like I've just said to you before, there's a lot, if you're good at geography, if you're good at science, like it's engineering, if you're good at the computers, there's so much that you can lean upon. So even if you're not academic, or if you are very academic, there's something for both sides of the coin. So don't think that, oh, I've not got my maths and English, I can't do it, because you've got other skills. So try and find out and get to learn, what are your skills, what are your characteristics, what are you good at, what do people call upon you for, and that will start shaping who you are as a character and who you are going to become.
I think we're all at risk of saying the same thing here. The organisation I work with works with about 150,000 employers, and they all say the same thing. You know, qualifications, absolutely great. You know, there's some maths, science, design, practicals. All of those are great, but actually they want people who are interested. They want people who are committed. They want people who can turn up on time, who can look them in the eye, who've got good communication skills, that can look at a problem and think about how to solve it. And lots of employers say, actually, if you can come with those things, I can teach you the rest. And so it's just such a strong message. And I'm conscious at school, from my own children and from my own time at school, that you're really focused on getting those exams done and getting those subjects learned, but really think about the wider experiences, because that's what an employer will look like, especially when you're young, because they're thinking about potential. If you're someone who's interested and wants to be there and committed to it, then you'll be a really attractive hire for employers.
Yeah, I'm probably the worst person in the world to give careers advice. I'm not quite sure what I want to do when I grow up yet, but still thinking about it. I haven't got long left. No, I just echo what's been said. I think it's about interest. If you're interested in something, that goes an awful long way and makes learning so much easier, in my experience. So yeah, follow your interests and learn about the role you want to find yourself in, and that will be really attractive to employers beyond your qualifications.
Did you want to add one thing again, Renee?
go and get a Saturday job. I mean, when I was younger, my first job was peeling spuds, which I'm pretty sure none of you would want to do that. I worked peeling sacks of spuds on a Saturday and a Sunday. But I got a work ethic very quickly, you know, and I moved on to different jobs, and I didn't start in construction. I've been a chef before, I've run my own company, an outside catering company, I've done many different things. It's not linear, you know, your career goes like this, but get some experience, you know, just get a Saturday job. It doesn't matter what it is, just be able to have that sense of pride and that sense of worth that you've done something before you then go out into the working world, is what I'd say.
I think it comes back to what Annie said earlier about curiosity, and I certainly wasn't aspiring to be here when I left school. This wasn't something I thought I would be doing. So that curiosity, looking around, trying new things, finding out what works for you, because there's so many opportunities out there that you may not know about yet. So being open to that is really, really important. So we'll have one more question before we take questions from the audience, which is, if in the ideal world, and maybe Fiona can take some of these ideas back, if you had a magic wand, what would the ideal pathway look like? So someone leaving school wanting to get into construction, what do you think would be the best preparation that colleges maybe could do with young people? What are the key ingredients to getting people ready for construction if we did have a magic wand and could do anything we wanted? Any?
I recently guest lectured at a college with T-level students, and there was 23 students in the room. And going back to my previous comment, I said to them, how many days a week are you at college? And they all said 3. I said, okay. So if you take your weekend off, how many of you got a job 2 days a week? And one put their hand up. So, and then they all had reasons as to why, you know, well, we can't get work, or we don't, you know, it's just not out there, or no one will give us opportunity. And I said, well, what about doing some voluntary work for those 2 days? If you're already not earning anywhere and your mum and dad are looking after you, why don't you go and do some voluntary work? And you know, like with Galloway Construction, I know when we've had students on work experience, if they've shown promise, I've brought them in as a labourer afterwards. So I think what the colleges need to sort of start considering is getting their CSCS early and helping them with that, because I can't have them on my site without it. But if you've got college students that are there for 2 years and they can be earning in those 2 days when they're not, I think that then gives them that added advantage when they actually have finished.
I mean, when I was a young person, just a few years ago, the thing that really annoyed me was a whole bunch of people talking at young people about careers, and me not understanding that how the things I was studying actually got to those careers. So in answer to your question, what would an ideal pathway look like? Much more applied at an early stage, with SMEs, employers partnering with schools and colleges and other providers to say, this is how geography applies to this. This is how you can put that in the system. And it didn't happen till very late on. And that was the best part of my education, was where I saw how it fitted into what a job could look like.
Any other thoughts on that one?
No, I was just seeing what was going on at the back there. Have we still got you in the room, students? Yeah? Just checking. I'd agree with what you've just said, really. I think if I had a magic wand, there'd be a lot more apprenticeships. It'd be advertised a lot more. I think we should show I think the statistics need to be shown about being the second largest paying industry. I don't think people know that. I think you should come to some building sites and see how many Land Rovers are on the site. We're not doing too bad. It is a nice industry, and I think it is very fluid. So if you find that you... I just think it may be everybody working a little bit more in partnership. I don't think, from my experience, I'm a mum of 2, and the excursions for my girls completely went to nearly 0. And I think there's some fantastic days out. You can do like site open. Yeah, there's open day. I think this battery's going. Open door events where you can go on a site, you can see how it works, you can have a go with some of the technology that we were talking about, the surveys. And if there is a bit of red tape about health and safety, they don't even need to go on the mud. They can be inside and they can still be seeing what we're doing behind the scenes. And I think, yeah, I think we need to really up those excursions, because that's something that an SME and an employer would engage with. It's not going to cost us anything really. We've just got to make it a little bit tidier for when you guys come and want to have a visit. It should almost be tidy.
Yeah, just a very quick contribution. I think CIOB has for a long time been committed to promoting the idea of a GCSE in the built environment studies and in construction. So I think a very quick answer would be lovely if we had a magic wand to see that come into existence in England. I think it's in existence in Ireland, but it'd be nice to see here.
So I'll take that away. I think just to say that there's probably not one ideal pathway, because we're all quite different. We like to learn in different ways. So we need to make sure that there are quite a few different pathways, but that they're really clear, because I think that sense of what jobs are there and how do I get to them and what do I need, that's really important for making decisions about the jobs that you want. I think just also to re-echo the messages that we talked about in an earlier panel, start doing something and then move around. I don't think any of us will be in the jobs now that we thought we'd do when we were younger or started in. In fact, for most of us, the jobs that you will do as adults throughout your career, they haven't even been invented yet, but actually get started, see what you like about work and move around. So there's, it'd be great if there was a clear pathway, but generally there isn't. So start somewhere, see what you like and really pursue those opportunities.
Okay, so I think we've just got a few minutes for questions. So is anyone in the audience? Here we go. I have to run up the stairs. Right, what is your question?
Because you're women and you're in a male-dominated career, do you think it was harder for you to climb up?
You might have to start shouting while I come down.
Yeah, go on. You go and I'll go after you.
In answer to your question, yes, it is. It might have been in years gone by, but what I will say is now there's no better time than a woman to be in construction. When we have to bid for work, so we're contractors and we bid for that work and then we win it, but we make a promise to the client when we do that. And on a lot of those contracts now, it says we promise that we'll have 20% of women working with us on that site. So that's making a huge difference, and it's making an inroad for more women to work on sites. And there's lots of not-for-profit organisations supporting women into the industry. So I have Construction for Women, and we support the attraction and then the retention of women. So I think previously, yes, it was a lot harder, but now the industry is seeing that when we work gender balanced together and we all work cohesively together, we can have great success.
So the sector that I work in actually has quite a lot of women, except the people at the top are usually men. And so actually, whether it's construction or whether it's another sector, it's always a challenge to believe that you have the right to be in that role, that you're really good at it, you deserve that place, and that those opportunities for you. I think I've found that sometimes it works to your advantage. So when I was sort of growing my career and I was speaking on conference panels, it used to be all men and they go, oh, we need a woman. So actually, if there's an opportunity because you happen to be a female, then take it and show why you deserve to be there in your own right. I think you are who you are, make the most of the opportunities that you get and be resilient enough to push through the ones where people say you don't belong, because you absolutely do.
What is one skill that you wish universities taught construction students so they could use on one day of job?
So the skills that we should be teaching in universities and colleges so that they can be ready for jobs, right? I'm nearly back down. Who wants to take that one? Here we go.
To communicate, guys. That's where I think that's what you need, some practice with that. So I actually met the host today because she had to sit down on a panel with 3 judges and tell me why she should win an award, and she's here today. So if it wasn't for her confidence, you need to be comfortable, and I think you need to have some role models. You remember role play? All of that needs to come back. We need to bring it back to the basics. It needs to be role played. You need to have an experience, because you know what it is. You're scared of the unknown, and you're not equipped by the time you come to the real world. So I love all you academics. Fantastic. You're ready. And the same for people who are more hands-on and more practical. You're all really great, but then when it's actually portraying that to your employer, there's a fear because you've had no practice. So let's get back to the drawing board and do role play. That's what I'd say. Play. That's how you're going to find out. Curiosity and play and explore, definitely.
Yeah, don't be scared to have those conversations. A lot of my staff that have come from university, they try and do everything over email, and they don't have those people skills. And I say, have you picked up the phone and have you spoken to that person? And it can save us a lot of time and money and lack of understanding as well. If you just learn to pick up the phone, a lot of you have probably got phones in your hand right now, but you're staring at it and you're texting, and you just have those communication skills and really think about that as well, and practice it way before you leave uni or you leave college.
So, sorry, Santina, I overran.
No, that's all right. Can we give our amazing panellists one more round of applause?